This is my chance to prove myself.
Peter, what is going on with you?
I'm really sorry. I'm so busy. I'm slammed.
Don't mess with me, because I will kill you and everybody you love.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Your Mind On. This episode, we're talking about Spider-Man Homecoming. So, I'm your host, Mitchell, and with me is...
Chris Mendez.
So, Chris, Spider-Man Homecoming. What did you think?
Well, when Spider-Man Homecoming was first announced, I was pretty excited about the trailers, but I didn't want to get too invested because when the Amazing Spider-Man trailers were released, I felt equally as excited, and I was very, very disappointed with both of those movies. But I have to say that Spider-Man Homecoming was absolutely amazing. Pun intended. No, it was such a fantastic film. Like everything was, it was such a homage to the comics, and everything was so like well depicted, and every character well portrayed. And even for the ones they made changes to, like it wasn't enough for me to be disappointed with the fact that they didn't follow along with the comics, which we'll discuss about later. But just like everything about it, I particularly loved the Vulture as the villain, and the casting for it was so perfect. But one of the things that I want to say about the movie is that it's a very character-driven movie. Like the whole thing revolves around like Peter Parker developing both as a person and like acknowledging like what it really means for him to have the powers that he has. So in that regard, I think it was very, very well done.
Yeah, well, it was a very small scale movie. Like he's fighting, like it's not like world ending or like New York's gonna explode. It's like this guy's just trying to steal tech from the Avengers.
Yeah,
like there's no, it's not earth shattering like or super bomb that you need to stop. It's like super small scale to even the point where on the ferry scene where it's like Tony's like, well, why did you do this? I called the FBI. Like they were gonna handle this.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It was almost to the point where Spidey didn't even need to be there, kind of thing, because it's that small of a scale. And
yeah,
I think
that's exactly it.
Yeah, I think that's perfect for Spider-Man because that's what he is. At least, like especially now, he's in high school. That's what he is. He's not fighting, this giant lizard bomb that's gonna turn everyone into New York into the lizard. Like it's so small scale and so like almost like petty crime. This is what we've been, or what we should have gotten for God knows how long. Like this is like the perfect Spider-Man movie I found.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they just really stuck to the whole premise of friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Exactly, like he's a kid. Like he's not supposed to be doing these crazy stuff. And even Tony says that, like you're supposed to be doing the small stuff. Like you're not at that level yet.
That's just it. Is that the movie is largely based on Tony trying to like make him realize that he's not ready for Ultron scale crises.
Exactly.
Like he's not ready to take on these matters that are of life and death, where he has to take people's lives into consideration. He's 15. He's not supposed to have to be doing that.
Yeah, and even the scene where Tony talks and takes the suit back from Peter, the one in the trailers, that scene, it was like that hit home. That was perfect.
That was a great scene.
I just love it when
the adults are talking now.
And they play it up too. Like first he shows up when he's not in the suit. And then Peter's like, oh, if you really cared, you'd be here. And he just walks out of the suit. I was like, oh. Like, that was, like, you can tell Tony really cares about Peter. And that whole scene where he was like, you could tell that, like, Peter was about to get, like, a spanking. It was so deep and intense. Like, you felt it.
Yeah, that's the thing that really, like, if you're, from a movie perspective, like forget like references to the original comics or Easter eggs. Like from a movie standpoint, that's the thing that I loved so much about it, was that they're really trying to establish something for the future. Like it wasn't just like we need to put out a Spider movie because people want it. It was really them setting up characters and setting up timelines and setting up, development and focusing on that. And it was because that was their main focus that they did it so well.
Yeah. Like I'm just trying to think of everything that was wrong with the movie, and I just really can't think of any.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, just like give a rundown of pros and quote unquote cons. Like, what do you think? What do you think were the main points that you loved and ones that you may have changed?
Okay, I loved everything. I didn't like none of it. What about you?
Honestly, I'm gonna have to jump on that bandwagon. Like everything was so perfect. Like the casting for Peter Parker, he was a perfect Peter
Oh,
Parker
Tom
and a
Holland
perfect.
is the perfect Peter Parker and the perfect Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was witty, he was clever, he had like those punchline jokes. Uh, Everything about him was perfect. I loved even the suits, how it had like that Iron Man AI that would communicate with him that you genuinely felt was actually a real person.
Yeah.
Um, and then again, coming back to the villain, the Vulture was just he was so badass. Like that scene where you kind of his first encounter with Spider-Man, where he sort of like swoops in and plucks him out of the sky. That was pretty intense.
Yeah, honestly, like every aspect of this movie was just like they hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I can't think of anything wrong. Like even when we did our review on Wonder Woman, which I highly encourage everyone watch. I remember when I said that if I were to say like point out anything bad with the movie, it would just be nitpicking. I can't even do that with this movie. I
Yeah.
genuinely I sat there looking for something that I wouldn't like and I never found it. I mean, I thought that one thing that would bother me more than it never did was how they changed who married MJ is.
Well, we don't really know if it's
Yeah,
like they're
we
just
can't.
they're just teasing us,
Yeah, we can't make that assumption.
or
But
if
I
Michelle's
mean,
actually supposed to be the MCU version of Mary Jane,
yeah,
or if she's just like they're just they making like an homage almost, you know?
maybe, maybe they're just saying that just as like you said, like as an homage. But I think it's personally, I think it's more of like a way of reaching out to a more diverse audience. Just because Mary Jane has always been like a white girl, and nowadays, like it's more like popular to have a diverse casting or a diverse character set. Like you even see it in the comics now. We're starting to get like more diverse characters, like female Thors and Black Spider-Man and that kind of stuff. So I think the movies are just sort of trying to gear towards that. And maybe I'm completely off the mark, but that's what I think is going on right now.
Well, speaking of Black Spider-Mans, Aaron Davis makes an appearance, played by Donald Glover, right?
Hmm.
And he says that he has a nephew living in New York. And who's Aaron Davis's nephew? Well, that happens to be Miles Morales.
Hmm.
So Miles Morales has been confirmed to be present in the MCU. How crazy is that?
Well, I think that definitely opens up a lot of doors for what the future of the Spider-Man series is going to be.
Well, I'm thinking like, like 10 years down the road now, once Spidey's ready to retire or whatever,
Hmm.
you have Miles Morales there ready to go because those seeds have now been planted.
Hmm.
So,
Well, yeah, maybe they just did it as sort of like a safety net in the event that they want to go in that direction, and if they don't, then they can casually just like put it off to the side and pretend like it didn't happen. But I highly doubt that that's what they're doing.
oh no, like 10, 15 years or whatever, we're getting Miles Morales. I can almost
Hmm.
guarantee that. Picking off the future of Spider-Man, Matt Gargan is in this movie.
Yeah,
He's not suited up as a scorpion, but he does have a scorpion tattoo on his neck.
I absolutely loved that scene with him and Vulture, like the encounter in prison.
Yeah,
There was something about it that was just like that same like I could have imagined that exact same sequence happening in the comics. Like it was so picture perfect for me to see that scene. So I'm really excited to see what the next Spider-Man movie is in store.
So does this mean they're setting up the Sinister Six? Because you got Vulture, and Scorpion now seems interested in this in Spidey, and he said that he has friends on the other side that want to get a whack at him too. So can these friends of his be part or be what will be part of the Sinister Six?
I mean, I'd like to think that it is, but at the same time, like they've been hinting at the Sinister Six since Andrew Garfield. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's always something that they plan on setting up because they want to do it, and it never ends up happening.
Well, here I feel like they're doing it properly, where it's like literally a quick tease of just saying, "Hey, I have people that want a part of the Spidey guy," as opposed to Amazing Spider-Man 2, where literally they shoehorn 3 villains in there, and then at the end of the movie they're like, "Oh, and here's a lab with all the stuff."
All of the tech, exactly.
Yeah, so that was like the next movie was going to be Sinister Six. Here you can tell that they're playing the long game, and that's what Marvel does best. I find is they play that long game.
Yeah, they do that very well, and it's nice to see that they didn't make the same mistake that both other Spider-Man eventually made with shoehorning too much content and too many characters. Like all the characters that they did introduce that weren't main characters were very subtle, and like it was a nice touch. It wasn't something that you felt was overwhelming.
Speaking of characters, Pepper Potts comes back. The reason why she was there was because of the press conference that was supposed to happen, where Tony would introduce Spider-Man into the Avengers in a brand new suit. And Chris, you want to reveal what suit that was?
That suit was the Iron Spider suit.
The Iron freaking Spider suit.
It was amazing to see.
It wasn't the exact color scheme of the comics, but it was the Iron Spider suit. Minus the 4 legs. It was this Iron Spider suit with blue and red.
Yeah, obviously you kind of had a feeling that they were going to make some changes to it. I was a bit sad not to see the spider legs, but I mean, just seeing it and seeing that it's a reality in the MCU was just it was amazing. It was just an amazing thing to see at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I was like I was really hoping that he would get it and put it on at the end of the movie, but I think they were just like, oh no, like we're just this is just a tease, you know, like
No, they're definitely saving it, and I think it's a good thing they didn't have him wear it at the end of the movie.
yeah. So one last thing I want to talk about is Aunt May now knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So where do they go from here now?
I don't know because I don't think this has ever happened before.
It's happened in the comics.
No, in the comics, yes, but I mean in the movies. Though.
Oh yeah,
I don't
no,
think it's ever happened.
never happened.
So I'm actually a little bit worried because I was never a huge fan of the whole villains taking advantage of knowing that Aunt May is related to Peter Parker. I feel like it's a bit cliche at this point.
Well, as soon as they know he's Peter, they kind of just go after like everyone he loves.
Yeah, and that's it's always been a big thing. Like that was the whole thing with Gwen Stacy. That's pretty much Mary Jane's entire life. But I feel like we've seen that so often now that this movie has taken such a great direction, step away from the old movies that I just don't know if I want to see another villain taking advantage of someone Peter Parker loves.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, I just hope they don't play it off as comedic effect.
I kind of think they did though.
I mean, in the movie they did, but like in the future, I hope it doesn't. It's not like a you better finish your homework before you go out swinging. Ha 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 ha.
I doubt that it's gonna be.
But I hope that this should like take a serious toll on Aunt May. Like this needs to be like family problem breaking, like earth shattering for Aunt May.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this isn't just like you found out your kid's doing drugs. Like this is a huge thing.
Yeah, and like I'm hoping that they don't just be like, "Oh, that didn't actually happen," in the next movie she doesn't actually find out it was just all a joke. But I honestly think they just did it because it would be funny. It was just something a funny note to end the movie off of.
I really hope not. Like I want someone to come out of this So let's wrap this up, Chris.
Yeah.
What's your final verdict on Homecoming?
Final verdict. I'm gonna say what I always say. Go see the movie for yourself. Make your own opinions. Tell us what you thought, and overall give it, what your best rating. But for me personally, both being a Spider-Man fan, waiting for a movie like this, and being that I was looking for something wrong and never found it, I think this is gonna have to be the first time I give a movie a 10 on 10.
Wow. Yeah, like I said at the beginning, I found no faults with this. The whole entire time, I was invested. I was so into it. I'm gonna have to give this one 13 instant kill Spideys out of 10. Like, this had everything I wanted from a Spidey movie. Honestly, I'm gonna say this movie is better than Spider-Man 2.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
So let us know what you guys think. Comment down below if you agree or disagree. Give the video a thumbs up. Maybe subscribe if you like what you're hearing. Closing words, Chris?
Go see this movie.
Always a good one. Alright guys, so that's it for Your Mind On. Like us on Facebook. We have that now. Facebook.com/YourMindOn. That's it for now. See you guys.